And everybody, we are live.
Love it. Hey, good Friday morning. Usual, a little after 8:30, actually at 9 o'clock Eastern time, but not $1 late because we're going to be bringing you so much value in what we got to say. You're going to be glad that we came.
That's right.
We got someone on, looks like we got someone on Bryant, so we're good.
Ellie's jumped in.
Hey, fall's upon us, fair's here, Halloween's coming. God, it's a great time of year. October.
Weather is perfect.
Yeah, it's incredible. And anyhow, we're thrilled you would join us again. We don't take it lightly. We're excited to come before you. Like we teased out last week, got some kind of macro and micro, but we're going to go, it's going to be a master class in some economics to help make sense of where we are and how that interplays with the housing market.
That's right.
Which, as you and I know, is, of course, why we're here. Yeah. So Bryant's going to just blow your mind. So go ahead and buckle up. This is actually a day. You know what we should have had today?
What?
We needed to get you the whiteboard.
Guys, a whiteboard is coming to you soon.
A whiteboard's coming to you soon. Hey, real quick, I got to give a shout out, former
LP,
Melvin Breeden.
Melvin!
I don't even know if he's watching at the moment, but Melvin, we miss you, brother. Glad you're back in North Carolina. Yeah, him and his wife are back, so that's awesome.
Gotta connect.
But anyhow, so let me start off with two quick facts, or I won't say facts, but just some things to keep in mind as we frame today, and then I'm just going to throw it to your court and let you run in the master class of economics. First thing is this. You might have heard it in the news, but if you live in Renaissance Park, which is a fairly large size, it's got a variety. It's got some single, it's got some townhomes, some detached, maybe some condos. Anyhow, it's just south of Raleigh at the corner of Tryon and South Saunders, still technically in Raleigh, but almost in Garner.
Yeah.
Their board, their HOA board, just voted to actually uphold what was written in the covenants and not allow rentals anymore.
Oh!
That is going to displace approximately 180 people.
Good heavens!
Now here was the thing.
Lawsuits are coming.
But here's the thing. It was always in their covenant. The board had chosen up to this point to not enforce. And so now you're going to have 180 folks, probably some homeowners who are frustrated that they got to, kick out, probably obviously a tenant. That's right.
But
you got folks who have to look for for another place to live.
Yeah.
Who knows how that'll play out? And I'm sure some sort of legal or litigious activity will follow.
Oh, yeah.
But the reality is this: if it says it in the covenants that you cannot rent, you should keep that in mind.
That's right.
Now, an agent or someone on the ground may say, they don't enforce it because they don't have the teeth or they've chosen not to.
Yeah.
But that can turn on a dime if you have a board who decides that this is something that they are going to, take seriously.
Yeah. Listen to this, guys, because a lot of times you will hear this language. We hear it all the time, which is, technically you're not supposed to have chickens, but the neighbor down the street's doing it.
Yeah.
So you'll get away with it. And there may be some practical truth to that, but it should not be the stance, A, of your real estate agent, but B, that shouldn't be your stance if you've got something that is near and dear to you, such as investment property.
Totally.
Gosh, yeah.
So that's going to be a big deal. Again, that's in Renaissance Park. So just keep in mind when you're looking, if you're looking to rent or have that as maybe a down the line situation, really take a look at those restrictive covenants, what the board may have said, and maybe check back in and get your agent to really ask some of those questions around that. So that's the first thing. Second thing is this. Triangle Business Journal last week, or actually this past week, has reported from Q1 of 2020 to Q3 of 2020 to Q3 of 2022, so this year, from last year, a little over a year, we'll say a year and a couple months, we have seen in rental rates in the Triangle a 10% increase.
Ouch!
A 10% increase from around 15 and some change to now we're in the 1600s.
Gosh.
We're feeling it. Yeah, and we're feeling it. We've said it before. Yep. We have people now that are fighting to get deposits in for certain rentals.
Yep.
So rentals are on the go up, or on the come up rather, and that we don't see that going anywhere.
Nope.
Which one makes sense if you're looking to buy for a rental's sake. Obviously, check the restrictive covenants. But more importantly, if you're looking to continue renting, you may want to think twice.
Yeah.
Because again, numbers don't lie. And I think it's within that context that I want to go ahead and just, pass the rock, as the kids say, over to Bryant and put it in his court to really walk us through. Again, let me just set this up. Time and time again, you hear us say, it's a good time to buy. Of course, you can look online. You can look on, your local news outlet and say the market's hot.
Yeah.
Zillow's saying it. This is the hottest. Hot, hot, hot. Yes, there is no doubt that this is a flourishing and thriving real estate market.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're encouraging you to buy. But there are things behind that. And that's why Bryant's going to walk us through. So buckle up, get ready, join the masterclass. Mr. Lovett.
Yeah, strap on.
Those thinking caps.
Those thinking caps, that's what I was looking for. That's what I was reaching for. But yeah, gosh, this is not going to be the easiest stuff to wrap your brain around, but I'm going to do my best to kind of dumb it down in honestly ways that my brain can digest.
Here we go.
It's some pretty deep stuff.
I need it simple, Bryant.
So do I.
Simple and palatable.
That's right. So I'm going to try to bring this down and do my best to make it digestible. It is the morning after all, so don't. But you couldn't have queued me up any better. You couldn't have teed me up any better when you talked about rising rental rates. And some people look at these facts and they go, well, they don't have to go up. They could go down, right? Why are they going up? Well, it's just because of a simple demand issue, or it's because those greedy landlords.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they don't factor in what's happening on a larger scale and why these prices are rising, why things are getting more expensive. So today we want to break that down in some economic terms. Hopefully this will be understandable and also appreciated, very helpful to you. I'm going to break it down into 3 different areas. So the first one, let's just talk about inflation, and let's talk about inflation from one vantage point. The second thing, I'm going to flip it on its head. I'm going to look at inflation from a very different vantage point. So inflation is going to be the focus of both of those 2 points. And then the third, I do want to break this down and say, okay, wait a second. How does what corporations charge, what they're able to I'm going to look at the corporate tax rate and see how that affects folks.
There we go.
How it affects your goods and
that's
services. How it affects you and what you can buy, how much it costs, what wages are like. So let's break this down. All right, quickly. So inflation. Inflation, when people usually hear inflation, they think monetary policy, right? And that's what you should think. You should think monetary policy, because inflation, in its truest form, there are more dollars being printed right now. Therefore, the dollar itself is getting less valuable. Therefore, it takes more of them to buy a good or a service. So it's just not quite as valuable as it used to be. There are now trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars in the system. That would make our grandfathers roll over in their grave. I mean, that just scares the living daylights out of folks. But sometimes it doesn't scare us, right? Well, that's for a lot of different reasons. One of those reasons being the fact that our monetary policy in our nation is actually built on debt. So in 1971, we came off the gold standard, and you've got a monetary policy that's now based on money being lent from the Fed to banks, and then from banks to the consumer, to us, you and me. So you want to buy a house, you go to the bank, they've received $1,000 from the Fed, let's just say, and your house costs $10,000, let's just say. Well, they're able to lend that $1,000 out, that $10,000 out with only $1,000 received from the Fed. That is what we call a monetary policy based on debt. Debt creation is actually increasing the wealth in this nation. And so will the debt go anywhere? And I've got sad news for you folks. The debt's not going anywhere because our monetary policy is built on it. And I could get into the weeds on that topic, but I'm not going to. And I know it's a little bit hard to understand. But ultimately, here's the takeaway from that point that I want you to walk away with. If the dollar itself is getting less valuable, and it has been for quite some time, going back 30, 40 years, then that is an eye-opening fact when you look at your grandparents and what they spent for their house, and you look at the house that you just bought, and you look at the price discrepancy. A lot of that's not just because the dirt got more valuable. That does play a part. But a lot of it is just the fact that the dollars you're using to buy that house is simply less valuable. Okay, so that's the first part of inflation that I wanted to unpack for you guys. The second is the demand factor. When it comes to demand, people start to take toilet paper, for instance. Toilet paper is either always going to be with us, or we fear that it might not be. Right? We freak out. We're terrified that we won't have toilet paper, so we rush to the stores and we buy toilet paper. This happens with gas a lot of times. And is gas getting more expensive? Yes, it is. In a very real macro sense, it's getting more expensive. But it can also get more expensive because everyone floods the pump. And now the gas station's like, well, I've got to charge $5.50 per gallon because I won't have any left. I've got to raise prices to actually kind of squelch some of the demand. And so a lot of that is playing into this whole thing as well. So you've got inflation from one end, you've got inflation from this demand side, which is, and in real estate terms, people are flooding the real estate market right now because, well, interest rates are going to rise at some point here. So what will that mean for my family? Will it reduce how much house I can buy? Yes. Will it reduce the purchase price of the house that I can afford? Absolutely. So you got this demand piece that will be driving pricing. You've got the inflation piece just from the dollar getting less valuable. And those are both driving why, in fact, this market right now is hot. We've said this before, but the demand in this area, we've been saying this, it's not fake.
Right.
It's not fake demand. We've got very real demand. So on that demand side, the land is getting more valuable. Every quarter acre of land is just getting more valuable because a lot of folks are moving here. So this is a hot spot to be. But let's back it up and let's just look at why. The third thing, I'll move through this quickly, is the corporate tax rate. Right now there is a proposition being put out there right now to be voted on by our leaders that would effectually say that we can no longer be competitive with our neighboring nations in a way that would attract businesses to us. It would fix a corporate tax rate. It would fix a floor for that tax rate. And if we wanted to just drop below it to be more attractive and to, pull in the next big fish corporation that we would like to be based here in the U.S., we would no longer be incentivized to do so. We could not do that, nor could we give that incentive out. So that will, in fact, have a ripple effect across the world in goods and services, the prices of goods and services. What that will do is it will put pressure on wages. Wages will actually need to rise. Well, prices of goods and services, wages, guys, housing is a part of that.
Yeah.
You will, in fact, see housing continue to climb in pricing. So hope those 3 points were digestible to some degree or another. But those are the three I wanted to bring to you guys. Be thinking about these things. Yes, it's a hot real estate market, like you said, but there are real reasons why. So,
guys, we could continue on this. There's so much to unpack here, but I think, Bryant, you did a great job of just laying that out with 3 points to give us some, macro, and then I even say you took us in a micro sense too, of an economic sense, monetary policy, of how we got to where we are today, and then a little bit of where we're going.
Yeah.
And again, we're just trying to lay the groundwork for why we are in the market and how that play. I mean, ultimately, most people aren't, cash and money play a part in the purchasing of homes.
That's right.
So monetary policy of a nation,
It matters.
It really matters.
It matters, yeah. It affects us all.
Guys, I think, again, the masterclass has just started, and we will be revisiting this.
That's right.
But
That's right.
for now, our time's up.
Yep.
And so we hope you have a great weekend.
That's right.
Per what Brian always says, if you have any real estate needs,
That's right.
obviously reach out to either
right.
one of us or someone in our firm.
Yep.
We'd love to serve you.
Love to serve you guys.
But something we forgot to say on the front
I
end.
know, we did. We forgot it.
We are your two favorite realtors
On the internet.
and don't you forget it.
That's right.
Guys, have a great weekend.
See you guys.